And I think there's a couple of things, a couple of changes for that matter, that the combat system could introduce that could make it a lot more worth it. And then also segue more into the Ascension system. So with the combat pass, as it currently stands, there's two things I want to say that I would consider maybe a major gripe in it. And I know we love MK Mobile, but we also play other games. You know, we play other games that may have their own combat passes and battle passes. And we've seen what most battle passes are and how they're operating. You know, this is MK Mobile's first one. And in the end, they don't have to do things like any other game does it. But at the same time, when you see a battle pass being successful in other games like Fortnite and Dead by Daylight and, you know, Apex, when you see these battle passes being successful, it would make sense to at least look at the areas where they're successful and some of the things that they do, so you can try to add the same value to your game as well. So one of the number one things I would love to see them change for the battle pass, and I honestly thought that was going to be a part of it when I bought the very first one, was if you do all of the challenges legitimately and complete the battle pass, meaning all 40 challenges legitimately and complete the battle pass, you get the next one for free. You automatically get the next battle pass premium for free as long as you continue to do the challenges. That is something that exists in the battle pass space. How do you feel about that?
I think that would be phenomenal. And I think that would be the way that most games would do it, because, you know, they want to create some real value for players. Based on my experience with MK Mobile over the years, you know, it seems like they're finally coming around to creating more value for players, but it's never been a game that offers a ton of value for players, unfortunately. However, if you compare it to its genre that it's in terms of mobile games, you know, I would say arguably compared to other mobile games that are out there, you know, it does offer, you know, reasonable value. You know, still, I would say even that, you know, most of those other games have sell back protection, you know, lots of other things that are built in, you know, to basically create more value for the player than MK Mobile. So, you know, 100% agree with you. I think there's a huge opportunity there to create more value. And I think as players, we should expect more value at the end of the day. MK Mobile is kind of a premium price for a product that, you know, as you and I well know, you're not getting, you know, premium quality all the times in terms of all the bugs and everything that we've had to deal with lately. So I think that's really something that has to be considered. And I hope that the team really understands that. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges in the game right now. And they ought to be really concerned about it and focusing a ton of their energy on bugs and these things that really negatively affect the player's experience, because that's the number one reason that people uninstall mobile games. It's, you know, when the software doesn't function. Yep. But coming back around to
100%.
Yeah. Coming back around to the combat pass, I think there should at least be something built in that by completing it, you know, if they're not willing to give it to us for free, at least give it to us at a discount.
Definitely.
You know, for having been somebody who previously purchased it, completed all the levels. You know, I don't care if it's like 25% off, 50% off would be better.
Yeah.
But like give us something for being loyal and supporting the game and participating in the combat pass and fully completing it. It's a grind. Big grind.
Yeah, because it's a grind, 100%. And some people do sit there and grind the challenges and try to get through them. And that's really the purpose of these battle passes, is to keep people playing your game, right? To increase the traffic and keep the traffic numbers high of your average daily player base. You know, that's what's going to keep the game going for years on end. And that's the, brings me to the second point with the completion of the battle pass. I just find it, this may sound, I don't know. I don't know what to call it. This may sound like I'm wishing on a star here, but I just feel if you paid $10 to get the battle pass and you complete all of the challenges and get to level 40 or 60, because obviously it's the premium pass, you get to level 60. I just feel, maybe it's just me, call me crazy, I just feel like you should not be paying the same price for a diamond for your completion offer. I do not think, you can buy any diamond in the game that's available in the store for $19.99. I think if you bought a battle pass for $10 and then you completed all these challenges to make it to the very end and 100% the pass, I don't feel like you should be paying full price for a diamond as your completion offer. I think the completion offer should be 50% off.
Well, and arguably in the past, there's been more value to it. We've had some where it's just basically you're getting the card, but in the case of at least a few of these, we've seen multiple cards. So it's tricky to look at it because they have their own logic when it comes down to what the value of the cards are. Mm-hmm. But it makes real economical sense because, say for example, we had MK11 Liu Kang that came out, and if you wanted to get him basically at the time, you had to purchase, these special packs where he's only got a 20% chance to drop. Effectively, the price tag on that is, $50 uncapped per copy. So, and then they turn around and they offer a Combat Pass completion offer that includes MK11 Liu Kang plus a gold card, that's also, kind of locked behind a paywall, but for $20 to them. I'm not arguing that it's not ridiculously overpriced, such as it is. Everything in this game is. But that's, from their perspective of what they could get for this otherwise, it's considerably discounted. So, but I think that they really have to strive to make it worth it for us if we're going to pay for it. And I kind of look at it like, yeah, if you're grinding, I would agree with you. Like, maybe we should get something better or, get a second kind of offer if we make it to the next tier. From my perspective, at least, why do we get a Combat Pass completion offer at 40 and not, like something else at 60? That's what's always kind of been a little baffling to me, because I think there should be more of an incentive. Like, if I'm going to pay the $10, are you going to give me something more for it? And typically what's been there hasn't been worth it until we got the 250, dragon crystals just added this last update. That's something, that's huge potentially. But I think, finish it and get a discount on the next one is one thing, or, finish it and get, a exclusive offer for premium would be another, if you're really trying to incentivize it for people to, purchase the pass, or, offer people the opportunity still to grind up to 60 without even buying the premium pass. Make it a little more fair and accessible for all players. But currently the way that it's balanced out and the rewards, it doesn't always, feel like it has the payoff for the amount of time that we have to invest in it, as well as the cost.
I definitely agree there. And this is where we're kind of on the same page, because it dates right back to the Ascension system, because the Ascension system is basically locked behind the paywall of the Combat Pass. And so you need to offer something valuable to make people actually want to continue to purchase the combat passes, you know, for every season, not just the seasons for the character that you really want to get high, not just for the Slasher Jason seasons or the Hanzo seasons or the Combat Johnny seasons. You want people to buy all of the seasons, and incentives will definitely contribute to that. And in the end, it's going to drive profitability, and profitability is what's going to keep this game alive. So, you know, if I had to ask you, and objectively but honestly, how many % of the player base do you think buy every combat pass?
Oh boy, I think it's probably, you know, a very small percentage from what I see online. I'm thinking it's probably only maybe 3 to 5% of players at the most. That's probably a high estimate.
Yeah, and I would say no more than 5% of the player base. But do you feel, right? And this is just off of numbers. Do you feel if they offered a discounted combat pass, or if, let's just say there was one point, the very second or first combat pass, there was one point where they offered me premium for $199. Did you get that same offer?
Oh yeah, and I almost considered, and it may very well still be there. You know, what you could do to get that offer is basically not purchase the combat pass, and as it gets down to the wire, it's time based. You know, they'll start to kick you the offers. I don't know if it has to do with your engagement with it, like if you're actually approaching level 40, but you know, they'd kick you the offer to purchase it at a discounted price. So, but yeah, I mean, if they're willing to do that, you know, why couldn't they do that to get more people to buy in? You know, especially when you're running a season like now, this would be the time to get other players interested in it. You know, have people get on board with Classic Shang Tsung, and then the next season, hey, you completed Classic Shang Tsung, so you're going to have a discount. But moreover, I think what they need to do is they need to show players what the value is. And to me, the value is in the Ascension system. And really, like you said, there's no value to it at this point, because we can't see, you know, where we're going with these cards. We don't see why it's worth making the investment unless they're that Slasher Jason Voorhees, like you said, that he's impossible for, you know, most players to get who've just come to the game, or even players who've been in the game for a long time even have a hard time.
I don't even have him at X yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's value in that, but it's coincidental to that card in that season. And what we need to see is the bigger plan. Consistent
value. Yeah. That's really what we need to see.
Yeah.
And you and I had a really interesting conversation. 100%. You and I actually had a really interesting conversation on Twitter where I shared an idea with you that I had where I think players should be able to cash in their crypt keys for 1,000 blood rubies to be used towards a purchase for that season. And, you know, at the end of every crypt season, every 2,000 every 2,000 hearts that you have, for every 2,000 hearts, you get one crypt key. However, I feel if you have a stash of crypt keys, you should be able to cash in one key for 1,000 hearts. It's basically 50% of the value, but it allows you to use it towards a purchase if you don't have the time to get those crypt runs in. Now, the big part of this is that you're giving crypt keys utility, right? Let's look at the big picture really quickly of why I came up with this idea. You're giving crypt keys more value. You're giving players more options. You're also reducing the grind of the crypt, because if I have 20 keys, but I really want to get this brand new MK1 Shang Tsung card, I can cash in 14 of my keys to get MK1 Shang Tsung right away. But that's going to deplete my keys. So now if I want more keys, I'm going to have to do a couple of things. I'm going to have to grind the crypt, which I just don't have the time to do. I'm busy. I'm a father. I'm married. I have homework. I'm in college. I'm in school. I've got projects. I've got midterms. I've got finals. Everyone's going to have their own excuses and their own things that they're dealing with in life. They may not have the time to grind those out. So what are they gonna do? What are their next two best options to replenish the crypt keys that they're using for hearts? One is going to be to buy the Kombat Pass, which usually has between 7 to 10 crypt keys in it. And two is going to be to actually buy those crypt key packages that are in the store. So once again, it's about creating value, right? By making crypt keys more valuable and giving us the ability to cash them in at half value, you've now created a demand for crypt keys. And the two best ways to get crypt keys are to either buy them directly or buy the Kombat Pass and earn them through the levels of the Kombat Pass. So do you see how everything ties in and it comes back full circle? And the name of the game is creating value. You're giving people value because you're saving them time from having to do those crypt runs to earn the hearts that they need to get the characters that they want. Giving them the ability to cash in those crypt keys immediately puts so much more value on the crypt keys that they have, and it gives them utility, it gives them convenience, it saves them time in the crypt where they can dedicate to event towers or faction wars or wherever else they want to grind for that matter. And now you've made the Kombat Pass even more valuable and more attractive for more players to buy going forwards. Do you understand the train of thought there? Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'll share my thoughts on that. I mean, I think it would be a fantastic system the way that you've discussed it, and if it could be implemented. But then, I think the issue that I see is, I'm on Twitter, so I see somebody share a video about how there's this glitch now in the crypt that can be used to get infinite hearts, and all of a sudden they've got 100,000 hearts in some given season. And the good thing about it is those basically just get converted to keys. And what I love about that is go ahead and glitch the game. People who don't play legitimately, go ahead and glitch the game, because at the end of the day, all you're going to have are more crypt keys. You still have to grind if you actually want to earn it, because they're going to close those loopholes. So, I get what you're saying, and I wish that everybody played the game legitimately so that we could open up more avenues like that are fair to all players. But I think what players ought to understand out there is that because of the people who glitch the game, because of the people who hack the game
and exploit too,
they are basically placing limitations on how we can enjoy it, because they're forcing the hand of the developers in a sense into how they have to act with it. I wish there were more options, but I kind of look at it like, this is why they take the approach they are to dragon crystals too. That's why we're throttled right now. It's because there are people out there who are always going to be pushing those limits, testing those limits. And there's such an economy for it in this game. There's this whole huge shadow economy in MK Mobile. And there's so many people out there that make a living off of this, and that focus on this and, push this out to the community. Some of them are even just the biggest parts of the community. And that's why I really encourage players to play the game fairly. It's a free to play
100%
mobile game.
100%. No reason to exploit, no reason to hack, no reason to cheat. Play legit, keep your account safe and protected. Don't ever put your account at risk and all your hard work and grinding over the years at risk for a few extra souls or a few extra hearts in the crypt. It's not worth it. It's never going to be worth it, because if you've been playing for 4 years, but you see an exploit that allows you to get 50 keys, you think 50 keys is worth your 4-year-old account? It's not worth it. And even then, like, what satisfaction do you get from cheating and not doing things legitimately? Like, does it ever really feel good to get something because you cheated your way to get it? No, it feels better when you earn it. When you're able to accomplish something and do something legitimately, that's the satisfaction of it. It's like, yo, I was able to do that. And that feels great. And, I definitely always encourage players to do that. Anyone that watches my content knows that I'm always going to be an advocate for playing games fairly and legitimately. You know, I definitely do not support any kind of hacks, exploits, or cheating in any way. You know, even when there's things in the game that are kind of broken and feel unfair, you know, I still try to tough through it and make it work somehow. And I know not every player may have that ability based on their collection or how long they've been playing, or even just their equipment. If it's a brand new tower and there's a glitched battle or there's an unfair boss fight that, you know, seems impossible to beat, I can understand the temptation. But to me, I'd always preach the message of it's just not worth it. You know, take the L if you have to, and hopefully you'll be able to make your way through and find a way to accomplish the battle. And in the end, you know, when you do overcome that, it's going to feel so much better. But you brought up a really interesting point that I don't think a lot of players consider. Fairly, I don't think a lot of players consider this point because of the logistics behind it, right? You mentioned that, you know, the reason why the devs put these caps in place and, you know, slowly roll certain things out is because of the hackers community and the people that exploit the game and run up their keys and find ways to infinitely glitch things, right? As much as that may be true, where I'll put my foot down is I do not think it is fair to punish an entire player base because of a few bad apples. I understand their concern. I understand their frustration, but I also do not think it's right that you'll punish an entire player base, of which maybe 97% of this player base, that's probably a really high number, but let's just, for figurative purposes, if 97% of a player base is playing legitimately, how are you going to punish 97% for the 3% that are hacking and cheating and find ways to exploit the game? I don't think that's a good game design philosophy or principle to build your game upon. I don't think that feels good as a player to know my game is not as optimal and efficient as it should be because some people cheat, because some people use hacks, because some people play illegitimately. You know what I mean? I don't think that's fair.
Oh, I totally know what you mean, but I think the percentages are off. You know, I mean, I think that's the thing.
100% they're off. What would you guess? Mine are way off for sure, because I'm not that deep in.
I would say it's almost probably got to be 33 to 40% probably. You know, I would say of players out there glitching, hacking.
Wow. You know,
yeah.
And I believe that based on faction wars alone.
Yep.
Yeah, I would believe those numbers based on faction wars alone. You know, I stopped playing faction wars for a little while now. You know, the rewards were just way too underwhelming for the amount of grind, you know, to stay in the higher ranks, you know, in the, you know, master, grandmaster, legend. I just feel like the amount of time you put in and grind it's just not worth playing based on the rewards that you're getting on a week, you know, on a, you know, week by season basis. So, you know, that being said, that's where you see it the most. You know, that's where you definitely see the hackers the most and where you're the most exposed to that. You know, and the deeper you become in the community, you know, you talk to people online, you know, between Reddit and Discord and even YouTube and YouTube videos and, you know, stuff like that, you will come across those hackers. You know, because I play legitimately, I don't like watching that kind of content. I don't support it. And so I'm not really as exposed to it. So, you know, 97% I know is a number that's way off. And I would definitely believe it if it was 30 to 40% of people that are, you know, playing this game unfairly.